Revision 7 of version 2 of Flower. This was the version or the revision where I zeroed in on making the mechanism exactly what it needed to be, which really meant moving things around in the design of the mechanism by a millimeter or two until I stuck my landing and got everything collectively exactly where it needed to be relative to everything else. Not super interesting, but it needed to get done. The thing that took the most time was the mounting plate for the servo motors, because those needed to exist in space relative to one another in kind of an exact way. So I set out to address adding that LED ring to the front of the mechanism. I needed to run the wire through the body so that it came out the back and then could plug into the power supply. In order to do this, I had to make the shaft stationary, and in order to make the rod stationary, I would have to offset the motor driving the rotation. Totally doable. It would just, take time and doing. So mounting the LED circle, this thing, and since it's sitting at the front of a flower, I decided to create stamen. So some delicate wire-like fingers were going to protrude out from the front of my assembly and hold this thing in place, kind of like this, right where it needs to be. I'm now using pipe and the wires from my LEDs route straight through the center of this, bypassing all of those mechanical moving parts, and pop out the back. Flower's flappy pedal assembly does all of its beautiful motion on top of this, and this stays wonderfully fixed as it ought to. The thing fixing it in place in the back, so be like this. I have like a little clampy-do bit that holds it precisely where it needs to be and makes sure that it doesn't rotate. It just sits there. So that was the big redesign from revision 6 to revision 7. But it's done. So once I got everything assembled, it worked more or less exactly the way that I thought it ought to. However, there was some slip, and this was because certain parts of the mechanical assembly weren't locked in place relative to each other. So when the plunging action went back and forth, it was actually pushing the front of the flower, which kind of needed to stay in place. My friend Tony machined little notches in this pipe very carefully so that these C-clips could kind of sit in place and prevent anything from slipping back and forth on the rod. When I plugged everything in again and ran it with the addition of the C-clips, the thing in the back holding this static no matter what, and the little stamen in front positioning that LED ring where it needs to go, all of it came together and was done. And that doneness happened yesterday, which was Monday, I think the 17th or 18th. I have no idea what day it is. As of that date, that Monday, I have arrived at the not just working, but the working and with all of the bugs massaged out point of the project. So there's probably going to be a revision 8, not because it isn't working, but once I get any mechanical thing to the point where it functions the way it ought to, there's always another layer that I choose to put on top of it where I add flourish that's completely not necessary at all. I want to have like leaves somewhere on the body, like the case of the device, that kind of twitch or flap a little bit. And it has to have a voice. It's probably going to be a bell. Flower will be shoulder mounted, so I have to make an arm that positions it somewhere next to my head, like a stem, since we're talking flowers, and like a vine that is the harness that actually fastens that arm to my meat body and holds it in place. And that's a whole nother layer of engineering. That's what's on the horizon. Anyhow, Flower is born. She exists. And that makes me really happy. So until my next video, keep making awesome things out there, and as always, thank you for watching.